So, and then the soil test reviews, important. How do you know what to put in your soil if you don't already know what's in your soil? So test the soil first, because you might be making a problem worse if you don't know what's already in there. Next week we had plant propagation. We were introduced to plant propagation by Paul Carter. He's one of our excellent team leaders in class 39, and then we had Claire Hubinger, Kay McElveen, and Beth Henry. They were all talking about propagation. Claire was talking about sexual propagation, Kay on asexual propagation, and Beth on division. And from there we took a fun trip to St. Andrews, where we got to do some gardening and getting our hands dirty. And we did some propagation, both division and cuttings. I believe there are lilies and tulips or something. I didn't get to make it to that day though, so I heard it was an extremely fun class. Then we had the rainwater on 4-2, and this was very interesting. This is a dynamic duo, Dr. Stephen Granger, Dr. Larry Sun. They go by Rain Beads, and they do a lot of free demos and presentations and stuff. They're super interesting. Dr. Granger was more your knowledge-based facts and statistics and some really eye-opening numbers on how much water we actually use and how much we actually use for nothing other than just making our grass look green. So, and then Dr. Larry Sun was very cool. He had all these construction designs and ideas, showed us how to do some how-to stuff. Some of it's improvised, some of it obviously you got to go purchase at the hardware store. And Dr. Granger's prediction was your rainwater collection system will be your new Mercedes-Benz in your driveway, your new status symbol in 5 to 10 years. We'll see about that. But very neat stuff. Then we had ornamental trees and hobby greenhouses by Christy Rolfe and Kay McElveen, again, both are master gardeners here in Guadalupe County. And so Ms. Rolfe was mostly talking about ornamental trees, like nice, beautiful oak trees, the types of oak trees or different trees that you would go by the nursery, and then how to plant them properly, strategic planting, making sure that they're going to survive. And then Ms. McElveen on the hobby greenhouses was super cool. It was really all-inclusive designs and discussions from the ground up. I mean, all kinds of things that you have to keep in mind when you're designing and planning it. And so I know I'll be going back and visiting the notes on that one to design my greenhouse. And then Texas Superstars was the following week with Miss Wilson and Benavides. They were going over the Texas Superstars, and I mean, there's a lot of plants that go in there, but basically there's a pretty strict criteria to even be considered a superstar, and then, furthermore, to actually make it to the superstars list. And then we had native plants and pollinators with Kathy Carroll. This one was, once again, pretty awesome because we got to hear about different names of plants and species that we probably see every day, but we don't really know or talk about them much. A lot of these are many great options to choose from, many great weeds and wildflowers that will bring some colors and bring those pollinators in, and also bring in those calls from your HOA. Those pollinators, So, anyways, that's been it for the last month or so. So, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Now we're going to have Bo Bollinger come up, please. He has a special thing he'd like to talk to.
I wasn't aware of this.
Make it short, Bo.
Oh my goodness. Messenger. Let me see here. All right. First of all, small crowd. Appreciate y'all coming out to see me. Thank you. Just want to get started. Jot some notes down here, so bear with me. A lot of things, a lot of great things happening with this individual. I got to talk about some of the highlights he's done throughout the many years he's been a master gardener. When I say many years, I'm talking about 30 years as a master gardener. Think about it, 1994. Certified in 1995. I don't even think BMS existed. I just graduated high school.
Liar. Liar. Liar.
Hold on. Class 5. That's what it is. Class 5. Unbelievable. It's been doing awesome work ever since. Every year, this individual has worked the stock and rodeo show before the COVID pandemic. Many hours working the setup, the construction, the plant sales. To remind you, rodeo is a Bear County Master Garden project. But he made it a huge success not only for Bear County but also for all the county. So excellent work on the stock show and rodeo. Actively worked the county fair many, many years. In 2009, anyone know who it is yet? 2009, one of the few that broke ground was the Guadalupe County Community Garden. And over the next few years, he worked on garden beds, irrigation, fence, and laying mulch. 2011 was the first successful year in which produce was harvested, and it was given to local food banks. 2016, he secured a $25,000 grant, which we used for the garden to buy a barn, shed, water collection, rainwater collection. 2016, 2019, he conducted a lot of spring and fall gardening classes, and occasionally, believe it or not, this was before my time, held cooking classes with the produce that he harvested from the garden. That's amazing. That's awesome. I wish we could continue that or start that back up. That was outstanding. Just from 2011 to 2023, over 56,000 pounds, that's nearly 30 tons of produce, has been harvested. That's 3 tons every year, 6,500 pounds. Each year is distributed to the Randolph Area Christian Assistance Program, which is a nonprofit emergency food pantry, in the local church food banks. Not only is the garden a huge success, he also welcomes approximately anywhere from 75 to 85 visitors a year, educates these visitors on the GCMG mission, spring and fall gardening, soil prep, garden bed design, composting, and much more. Continues to be active. This year, he's accumulated over 250 volunteer hours, harvested over 750 pounds of produce, and provided the GCMG mission and gardening advice to 18 visitors.
And it's only April.
And it's only April. So, drum roll. Our master gardener of the season is Dale Otto.
He's got a pretty great wife, too.
That's right. That's right.
You know, let's start this thing out right.
Okay, want to say something? There you go, sir. No, you don't need that.
Anybody that knows the garden knows the boss. I was in charge of construction, she's in charge of everything else, including me. So, this will go to her.
To share.
And I appreciate it. It's been a eventful 30 years. And each of you have something to look forward to. Hopefully, that's where my ashes will be. But, 30 years from now, you all can say, I beat him.
There you go.
And next, can we have Paul please come up and, yes, for our graduating students.
Not graduating, but
I'm sorry, newest members, I apologize.
now you do it, Paul.
Do I get more than 90 seconds?
Yes. No. Do you need this?
No.
No, you're good. Okay.
Well, we have two master gardeners today that one of them graduated, let's see, class 38, which is last fall. And the other one graduated this time last year. And they stuck with it and got their $50. So we want to celebrate them today. The first one we want to celebrate, and they're both getting their name badge too. Hallelujah for that. The first one I want to call out is the one that's graduated November, I guess it was, class 38, her name is Sarah. Come on up, Sarah. The next one is, I don't know where she came from. She was in our class 37, which was our biggest class that we had last year.
Woo, yeah.
We had 25 in the class, and she stuck with it and got her certificate, her name back. So she's now a master gardener, certified master gardener. Her name is Lisa Corkindale. Corkindale? Okay. So let's-
Good? Okay.
I know, I'm trying to save my voice.
Okay, so next. So I would like to call for motion to approve and vote the membership meeting minutes from March 21st, 2024.
I motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Bo, second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. And also, for you to know, our April board meeting minutes are now posted on VMS as well. If you haven't done it already, the virtual conference registration link is still open. Check your emails. And if you haven't done it as well, do your volunteer hours. I'm guilty of this as well. Just make sure they're counted so that our group looks good too. And as we talked about last month, the communication director, we need that ASAP. The description is listed by itself currently on VMS because we're working on getting the edited file for the PPM. But we are working on that, but the description is by itself in VMS if you'd like to look at it. And the summer social is coming up. That is the graduation. Sorry about that, but those 2 minutes up. But we're going to have graduation for the current class during that time. And we need a team to put that together. So if you're interested in doing that, our group would greatly appreciate it. It's lots of fun. I know Beth and I worked on it really good this past time. So contact one of us if it's something that you're interested in helping with. Oh, and a reminder, our board meetings are the second Thursday of each month. We start at 6 p.m. We try to finish as soon as we can, but we do have a lot to cover. If ever you do need to talk at one of the meetings, please get with us and we'll get you on the agenda at the beginning so you don't have to wait the whole time. Next, we have Denise.
Maybe a few long, but just a reminder, Starfish just recognizes people who make a difference to their community, to an individual. They've done something that has impacted someone, so would anybody like to present Starfish?
Is it who gets up here first, or is this a combo?
It's a combo. It was like, decision.
Yes.
Got you.
Oh. Right. Okay, so Maria and I have been doing a lot the last 4 weeks, but it's not just us. Like, we've had so many people help us. It's just incredible the way that this organization comes together. And, but especially we want to honor 2 people, because if you see one, you usually see the other. So tonight, we would like to honor Sharon Cooper and
Rick.
Oh, my.
Helping us like pick up the plants, holding the plants for us, like plant sitting, like we call them up and they're like, don't even ask questions. They're like, okay, we'll be there. And they just like have just been so helpful during the plant sales, like on all of them. And you guys are helping us on Saturday again, so thank you. We appreciate all the volunteers that help out, but you guys have like really helped us so much. So with the Starfish Award, you don't get a present or whatever, but we pitched in, we bought you a little sign. So yes, you can put it in your garage.
I can't believe
Yes, it's not here.
It's out here.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Any other Starfish awards?
Okay. So next we have Beth, our president-elect, and also in charge of plant sales. She's going to come up and talk. I'm going to give her the mic because she's trying to save her voice even more than me.
I just sound like a strange foreign object. Well, I'd like to continue with accolades for everybody who has plant sales. I know that it was really something to see so many people change their schedule around trying to get these things accomplished. So it was really wonderful to see all the dedication in this thing. We have plant sales coming up this Saturday. Then we have another plant sale coming on the 27th. The one on the 20th is being led by Maria, and it's going to be insurance. We're going to see what it's like to kind of spread our money this month. And then we'll be at
Downtown.
downtown at the City Market on Earth Day on the 27th. And then in May, we're going to have 2, May 18th and May 25th at the Silver Center. I also want to encourage everybody who is out this weekend on the 27th and 28th, next weekend, the same time that they're going to be down at the Earth Day celebration. There are several of us who are going to be at Green Jay. We're going to have an information booth set up there. We're going to have a big event there that day. And we are going to be giving out coupons for $1 off planting plants with 5 plant minimum. So come by and get you some certificates and take a look at what's going on at Green Jay. Just like with the activities going on this summer with graduation, we need to get a team together to do our float through. Last year we had a tremendous amount of success. We were extremely late getting it started, and it was a tremendous amount of work. But this year, I think we can get some people really interested in taking on this task again and seeing what we can accomplish and get it down the road and see where everybody thinks about it. So if you're interested in participating in creating this float, please contact me as soon as you possibly can. I would like to have things underway by 1st of May, because it's going to take us a couple months to do that. If you have an idea of something that you would like to see as put in the float, by all means, draw something up, send us a picture, and we'll take a look at it and see if we can incorporate it in the design.
Do you have an idea for the float?
I do have an idea, but I'm also very open to looking at other people's ideas as well. Very close. We're also going to be starting our craft days again. I know there were several of us who participated in a lot of those last year. We had a lot of fun. We painted a lot of pots. We made a lot of stuff out of clay, and we had a good time doing it. We're going to be having the information out of VMS about individuals who would like to participate in activities that we can turn into fundraising opportunities. That information is going to be on VMS. Please take a moment, take a look at it, fill it out, send it in, and we'll get you on a team that's going to keep you busy, and we'll have lots of fun.
It's going to be a survey that's emailed to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, folks.
Okay, next we have Bill, our education director. He's going to come and give us our report.
I think I was on.
Okay, this slide, I did at the Lunch and Learn. And I explained to everybody that I would not do a slacker list. Okay, and the slacker list was based on last month we had 50% and 70 members that had not taken any time in this system at all. So when I ran the numbers, it's down to 38, we've dropped 18, so I won't be doing the slacker list.
No. I want some
For upcoming Lunch and Learns, this month in life here, Peter will be doing composting for the Lunch and Learn. And if you miss Peter at the Lunch and Learn, you can jump over to the Seguin Library and pick Peter up doing composting there as well. That's a 11:30 to 12:30 at the Seguin Library. And if you missed him, you can pick up April in the Schertz Library doing herbs. So those are three of the programs that we have. And I do have to say this right quick. So between Peter, April, Karen, and myself, we have done 238 people in the past 7 weeks. That's hats off to all those folks that help. And if you missed all those events and you're going, darn, I should have caught that, you can go out online, look for that movie video icon, and right below that are all the videotape online presentations. So I don't want to hear, I missed it. You can go online on the website and pick up the program and do it at your convenience. So keep that in the back of your mind. That's the online portion of it. Okay, and last but not least, I sent an email out. I've been collaborating with the AgriLife office in the back. So under the AgriLife office, we have the Master Gardeners, the 4-H Club, iNaturalists, and then we have Better Living Texans, and then Family Community Science. So that's Drew and Lisa in the back. So they have volunteered to provide some classes for those people. Eligibility, they have to be drawing Social Security to be eligible for the program. So out on the front table, there's a whole bunch of pamphlets. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to answer or come to me and I'll answer them. It's an excellent program. I don't know of any program where you get free food, free gifts, and free literature. All of it is free. So take a look at these programs. They're there for your benefit.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maria, you're next, our volunteer director. She has been super, super busy as well, stepping in and helping. We appreciate it. Did you guys see her with the flower picture? I love that. Was that a hat?
Oh, yeah, with the sunflower. Oh, we had the sunflower thing. You got hear me? Yeah. Okay, so welcome. Thanks for everyone who made it out today. Major volunteer requests have been going around right now with the Big Red Barn. The school business is going on, so thank you for those that have volunteered already. The Shirts Demonstration Garden always needs volunteers every Tuesdays and Fridays. And I'll talk more about the Shirts Demonstration Garden in a little bit. April plant sales. So right now, this Saturday, that plant sale is at 93% covered with volunteers. But the 27th, we still need volunteers. We're at 56%. So if you look at the little, this is what a sign-up genius does. So it lets me know like how we're doing and stuff. So right now, on the 27th, we still need volunteers. So if you need to get volunteer hours, there's still room for you to sign up.
And it's a fun event to be at anyways, back here.
Yes.
Yes, I'm doing that.
So Sarah is running that one, so she will be the POC for that plant sale. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, the Future Gardens is having their grand opening May 9th at 10 in the morning. So right now, Vanna could really use your help at her garden. When's the next volunteer day?
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
And Sunday.
Okay, this Saturday and Sunday?
This Saturday and then
Next Sunday, okay. So another way for you to get volunteer hours. And there's just a lot going on this spring, right? There's a big working day that we're scheduling for the Shirts Demonstration Garden on May 10th. So for those of you that are still trying to get your hours in to graduate, to get your certificate, May 10th, I'm trying to get a big group together to go out there and help Dylan and get those big taskers done and get ready to plant stuff for this summer. So if you can make it out, May 10th, I'm going to send an email about that, so be on the lookout for that. I already talked about the plant sales. Okay, so this Saturday, everyone's been like, oh, it's going to rain. Well, we're still going to have it, rain or shine, okay? I've been watching the weather, and we are going to be in a covered area, so we're still going to have it. Like, we've been spreading the word in Shirts, and everybody's excited that there's going to be a plant sale. It's going to be on 78, FM 78, which is where the tax office is in Shirts. There's a big caboose there. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's a red caboose. If y'all know where the Dairy Queen is, it's right next to it. There's a Dairy Queen and a dollar store, and it's right there. So, yeah. So a lot of people know like where landmarks are, right?
He wasn't paying attention.
That's where it's at, right there. So, I have the sign-up sheet for the 20th and the 27th. So if anybody wants to sign up, you can do so today after the meeting. I'll be right there, okay? I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions before I go on? And also, don't forget that we're trying to raffle off this beautiful peach tree that already has peaches on it. It's like, it's a win-win right there for y'all. So,
$5
$5 a ticket, so go see Wendy during the break. And then we are going to draw a winner on Saturday at Plant Sale. So at the end of Saturday. Yeah, there's going to be a raffle on the 27th as well. So we don't know what plant yet, but it's going to be something good, right? All right. All right, and I also want to recognize Gutierrez Park, Garden Park. I've been volunteering over there quite a bit, and it looks amazing. Like the flowers are out. I was watching Facebook, and a lot of people were getting their prom pictures taken there. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. If you guys have not volunteered yet there in that area. So the Spotlight Garden is going to be Gutierrez Garden Park. And Caroline Moody did not make it today, so in her place, Bo will be here.
Woo! Yes! Nice!
But look at those beautiful pictures. Look, I took these like literally like a few days ago.
Awesome.
So we were there volunteering.
Yeah. Show of hands.
Yes.
Who knows where the park is?
I forgot.
Okay, show of hands. Who's been at the park?
Never been there.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I'm telling you, this is a 2-acre gym. This is beautiful, especially in the spring and the fall. The blue bonnets this year, every year, are amazing. Cosmos, lake firs, you name it, E-bombs, poppies, all just exploding. We have the butterfly garden in the front. We have a hummingbird garden that the Lions Club helps us with. We also, in the back, we're working on it, trying to make it a bird sanctuary. So we have over, I think, 60, close to 70 superstar, combination of superstar natives. So it's amazing. If you guys have never been there, highly recommend you go there. As you can see, work days are Thursdays and Saturdays, 9 to 12. We'll probably be pushing that up when the weather starts getting warmer. Probably be about 8 o'clock start time. Highly recommend. Caroline always needs help. We've had the last three weeks or so, we've had the Clemens National Honor Society there, helping, planting a lot of natives and superstars. Just to give you a heads up, it is Bill, matter of fact, came over. This was last year. I worked with the Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and we dedicated the Lacy Oak. They planted the Lacy Oak there. It's doing well. We've had FedEx there. We've had all kinds of people come there. The mayor even walks there. The mayor of Schertz walks there, Ralph Gutierrez, and he's complimented on how beautiful that park is. We hear that from everybody that walks it. Beautiful. Please come out and help, or just take the stroll down the park. Thank you.
The last thing I want to say is I want to give you guys this quote. It says, volunteers do not necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. And that is so true about each one of you guys. You guys volunteer time to all these projects, and this organization wouldn't be what it is without you, okay? So thank you. So you can give yourself a clap. And again, future gardens, you should see the flyers out. Their grand opening is May 9th, so come out and support that.
Okay, so Claire cannot be with us this evening, so I'm just going to take us through the slides, but I can't really tell you everything about it. Claire will be on BMS for you, and if you have any questions when she gets back, you can ask there too. Here we go. This is the account balances as for March. I'll go slow so you look. The abbreviated gardening class at the very beginning was the spring class that Bill did. That some of it was through last year whenever they paid, but this is what we have so far this year. That was one of our questions during the board meetings, in case you wanted to know. Paint sales are there too. The expenses. Sorry, I don't know all of that Claire had there. So. If anyone wants me to go back, I can. Is that good? Is everybody good? Okay, now we have Mindy come up, our vice president.
So, it's not every job you get that half of it's been done for you, but that was the fortunate situation that I got into when I took this job from Pam Yucker. And so she has, not only has she had all these people scheduled currently, but she's also given me the lead to all the ones that are going to come up. So we're going to mix it up this year. Using some of hers, old and new, but it's going to be fun. I'm not publishing past June. I do have every spot filled, but I'm trying to give the grace to my presenters if they need to change, because our speaker next month, we changed her twice. But she's in. She's in. So tonight we had Kathy Zarski with the WestCave Preserve. She's got a really beautiful, I didn't even know it existed until I saw that she was going to be our speaker. And then next week we have Judith Green, and she's going to teach us how to build a hummingbird and butterfly habitat. So please sign up for the in our June social. We need to get that nailed down so that all these interns can be wearing their name tags. So what's the rate that we're going to have right now as far as being certified?
Not very high.
It's not?
It's only about 25 to 30%.
Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah, so we have a lot of folks where they can,
That has-
we've got a lot of opportunities in April. We're going to be real busy and May. So that's really all I have. So yeah, till 7, yeah. Right? Yes.
In the black tub, in the brown paper bag, I pulled some wood bottles up, so if anybody wants any of the plastic seeds off on
And sold some vegetables from Pam's out there as well. Okay, so we're going to take a break before our speaker comes up. So will you talk about that? Sure. But we're very fortunate to have her. She was booked by Pam Younger, last year's vice president. So we're this is a great secret. I didn't know anything about this, but now I'm like telling everybody about that WestCave.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So we're excited to learn. Thank you. Please give her questions after, or do you mind being interrupted? How do you want to do that? After?
Yeah, maybe after.
Okay, so she'll take questions after. So.
Unless you have like a burning question, like, yeah.
but that's up to her. But please give her our full attention. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So before I get started, I'm mic'd up, and I can never, from here, I don't know if it sounds like the way.
It's not turned on.
It's not turned on.
Oh, that one's fine. It's fine.
Okay, is this one?
For us.
Okay. Is it just too far away? Both on there. Do I need to hold it here? Now you can hear me? Yeah. Okay, is that better? Okay, all right. So thank you for having me. My mother-in-law lives just down the road, or she has a property in San Antonio and also in Stockdale. So I pass through Seguin quite often. I love this part of the state. So my name is Kathy Zarski. My background for what I do is perhaps a little unconventional. I'm actually trained in architecture. I received my degree from the School of Architecture in Austin, UT, back in the early 90s, and I've always had an interest in sustainable design. And what's interesting about the sustainable design movement when it was getting started is that the environment was a word that was just tossed around within the movement all the time. And I didn't have a single peer that could really talk to me about the environment at all. And this was a little upside down to me. We could talk about energy efficiency, and we could talk about water efficiency and conserving, and we were doing it on behalf of the environment, but like, what exactly was important about the environment? Why was it this word that we were just adopting and kind of exploiting without any real knowledge? And so I just started to ask a lot of questions. I was one of those pesky question askers. And one thing led to another, and as I got more and more involved in leadership roles within the green building movement, I came across people that were kind of in these adjacent spaces, one of them being biomimicry. And so biomimicry is a methodology by which we look to nature to understand the way nature has adapted and evolved with all of its design strategies. Because nature, when you think about it, is trying to deal with the same kinds of situations that we are. How do we repel water? How do we absorb water? How do we regulate temperature? How do we create aerodynamic form? All of these different things are questions that we can ask nature, and nature can give us lots of different options for different design questions. And so that's really what the field is taking these ideas, these recipes, if you will, and applying them to our designs. So I met someone in the biomimicry field right as it was emerging, and this is back in 2007. And then I had an opportunity to study biomimicry, and if you're gardening and you're outside, you already know that there's a pretty significant hook that you get when you start to be curious about natural systems around you. You want to explore, you want to understand the unique differences in the way petals are made. Some of them actually move and respond to a bee landing on them to expose the pollen, right? Some of them will change color. Like, there's just so many things. It gets you down on your hands and knees, and there's just so much to explore. And so this was my experience. It had just, it's like I had new glasses and I could never take them off. And it's just created these really wonderful paths for me to actually talk to designers in a lot of different professions, quite honestly, about what the natural world has to teach us and how we can live more harmoniously and like nature if we emulate these time-tested strategies, right, that have evolved and changed, or they don't survive. So that's a little bit about the background. Biophilia and biophilic design are another huge interest of me, and this is, or of mine. Biophilia is really the understanding that we have an innate affection for the qualities of nature because we evolved in nature. We evolved with the wind and with dappled light and variable experiences in nature. And when we trap ourselves in indoor settings, we actually suffer physiologically, psychologically, cognitively. There are all kinds of declines that we experience when we don't have access and exposure to nature. Views of nature all on their own elicit very beneficial physiological and psychological benefit. But if we have a chance to actually have a multi-sensory experience in nature that is also tactile and we can smell it and have all of our senses engaged, the benefits just start to cascade. And so biophilia looks at just what are the qualities of nature that we need to introduce back in our lives for our own health. So those are cousins, and I play with both of those a lot, and I teach in that space a lot. And I work at WestCave because WestCave is like a living laboratory. A lot of people don't even believe that it's in Texas when they're down there because it feels like it should be in Hawaii or some other place. It's just that lush. It's one of these gems that we have in the hill country.
Where is it?
So WestCave, and I'm going to have a map. So I'm going to start my presentation now, and you're going to hear a lot more about WestCave. But I wanted to give you some background to help you understand why I'm the one that's here today, and that I have a slightly different bend on how I talk about natural systems. I can guarantee you that all of you in the room are probably much better experts at the naming of plants and a lot of those kinds of things. I'm interested in studying the behavior of plants and the adaptations of plants and systems because I find that really fascinating. And so together, just imagine, we make a really great team. So WestCave, just to give you a quick history, is one of these jewels in the hill country that sits in the Hines Branch Canyon, which feeds into the Pedernales River. Have you all been to Hamilton Pool, or do you know where the Hamilton Pool is? This is a mile down the road. Okay, so it's just a mile further west from Hamilton Pool to give you a sense of where it is. But at the end of this canyon, there's what we call a nick point. A nick point is where the canyon has an abrupt end. It's where all of the erosion has stopped, and we have a grotto feature where different layers of rock have eroded away based on the geological formations that are there. Some are more easily eroded than others, and it creates this hard roof condition. We have all kinds of springs in the hill country, as you probably know, and so we have an upland condition where these water flows are typically subterranean, but they emerge at that nick point of the canyon and fall down into the grotto and create this really magical, lush kind of setting. And it was a destination for a lot of people who wanted to party there. They wanted to camp there. They wanted to burn fires there and do all the things. It was a recreational haven once upon a time, and it was being loved to death. And one of the people that was loving this place to death with his friends was a guy by the name of John Watson, who decided that he needed to do something about it. And so he purchased 45 acres to actually acquire the canyon and make sure that this really special place could be preserved. And his first act, once he secured the land, was to hire John Arns, who was his education director, and the boots on the ground to actually do the work of converting this place to a preserve. And so there's a long history from there. It's a very inspiring place, including the Education Learning Center, which is an award-winning green building, a showcase of biophilic design, and influenced a lot of green buildings around the country. To give you an idea of its siting, it is in the Pedernales River watershed, which also is a part of the larger Colorado River watershed. Here are some historical photos from this. It's in a book that I highly recommend that I'll be showing you at the end, all about WestCave. Discovering WestCave is the name of the book. And the reason why preserves are really so important is that we have this ongoing issue of land fragmentation. I don't know if any of you here have large acreage land holdings, but it's getting harder and harder to hold on to them. In a lot of families, if they don't have children that want to stay and live on the land and use the land in the way that other family has, a lot of families are forced to have to, parcel up their lots. And so land fragmentation is creating all kinds of issues, and I'm sure you've probably talked about them in your groups. So this is one of the reasons why the preserves that are being aggregated in the Central Texas area are so important to us, because we're one of the fastest growing areas in the country. Something else that makes WestCave so important is that we have nesting sites of the endangered golden cheek warbler. The only place in the world that this bird makes its nests is in Central Texas. And so it is their migratory season right now. They are in Central Texas. They arrive in March and they start to depart, as the weather starts to cool, and that's always a guessing game in the fall when exactly that's going to be, but October-ish is when we see them leaving. And so we monitor them right now. We know that we have 3 territories. That doesn't mean we have 3 birds, but we have identified, our conservation director has identified territories based on the behaviors and the spacing that the birds maintain for themselves. And here is the larger partnership, or this kind of aggregation of conservation lands in the area called the Balcones Canyon Land Preserve, which we are a part. So 33,000 acres in total. WestCave Preserve is 76 acres. So the purple outline is the original purchase of John Watson to acquire the canyon, and then the sliver of land that gives it access off of Hamilton Pool Road, and that you can barely see it, but there's a little kind of white, kind of down at the bottom of the slide, there's like a whited out area, and that's where all of the facilities are. And then there was an additional acreage that was purchased by LCRA surrounding that to continue to protect the watershed that feeds that canyon, which is so integral to the health of that system. And we operate on a 1-year lease with LCRA, so that we are their tenant, so to speak. And then this is another 3,000 acres that was put into a conservation easement in 2021, and then Hamilton Pool Road is just down the way. So there's quite a bit of conserved land just in our immediate area. This is WestCave. This is what puts us on the map. The mission of WestCave is to inspire people to develop a lifelong practice of enjoying and protecting nature through educational programs, collaborative alliances, and conservation of our beautiful 76-acre preserve. It is a really stunning place in all seasons. I always recommend seeing anything in all seasons. This is one of those places that we actually get the rich, I grew up in the north, and I don't get to experience the smells of decay in the fall like I'm accustomed to, and this is one of those places where I can walk on these matted trails in the fall and just get all of that odoriferous sensation, which I love. This is a view of our Environmental Learning Center, which is available for you if you ever want to come and hold a meeting or have a group. But we have exhibits in there. We have an art exhibit right now on the various cave organisms that exist in the hill country. There's just, and a lot of other kind of learning exhibits and touch tables and things like that for younger audiences. And some of what we monitor at WestCave, we have monitored over 170 species of birds, 459 plant species, 24 Barbary plants, over 25 mammals, 12 plus snakes. We have all 4 venomous snakes at WestCave. But you know, they keep their distance. You know, like this is their home. We're actually in their home, and the water moccasins are actually something that we see fairly regularly, and we understand how to interact with them and how to give them their space and understand when their behavior is really more about them kind of just being territorial or in their breeding seasons, and just to kind of keep our distance. But it's never an aggressive behavior for us. It's always, we've encroached because there's something else going on. Just give us a moment. And then we have 24 other reptiles that we have also monitored. And there's a whole host of other things that, that we haven't been monitoring. We do have 4 bat houses. One is a mega bat house. It can hold up to 1,000 Mexican free-tailed bats. It's only been there for a few years, so word hasn't spread to large colonies that they have these spaces there. But we believe that we've had up to 500 bats in there, and these are small structures. You know, from our point of view, they seem relatively small, but these animals really pack themselves in. And so we have various bat structures around the preserve. One of the things that I wish that we would do more monitoring of, and it's like I'm like one of those, I'm prodding them to like take these things into consideration, is moths. So if you all, as master gardeners, talk about the importance of native plant species and all the benefits that they provide for all of living systems, insects are really at the heart of everything functioning. And moths are one of the best indicators for ecosystem health, because the greater diversity of larvae that we have that are interacting with these plants, the more birds that are being fed and the more other organisms that are being fed. And so it speaks to really the health and vitality of those systems if we have more diverse species of moths. And that's not something that we are currently measuring. It is a banner year for wildflowers, right? It is just beautiful out there. And so right now it's very hopeful when we walk outside to just see the ground moving all the time. There's a lot of fluttering going on out in our wildflower blooms right now. Also, just mycology is really kind of growing in interest, and I don't know how much you all are talking about mycological systems, but we've had people come out and try to help us identify places and the relationships taking place, but we don't have any formal monitoring of that either, nor of a lot of our amphibians. So there's just a lot of opportunity for us to gain better understanding, to start to look at some of these other indicators. So this is a picture of the uplands, and the trees that you see off in the distance define kind of the edge of that canyon where the grotto is. And the uplands are a really important feature for that canyon because this is part of that watershed. And the geology of the place means that we have a lot of karst in that area that's hanging onto that rock under really high pressure, and then it's coming out in all of these springs. And the conditions that we have in the uplands are very different, which is why we see different combinations of plants and animals. Much more exposed to the sun and the wind, much more erosive. The types of water erosion are different, I should say. It's not that we don't also have really erosive things taking place in the canyon. The temperature gets a lot hotter, and it's more subject to fire. And some of the habitat or organisms that share that habitat. Lindheimer senna, it's like a pet that I just want to adopt and have near me at all times. It's one of my favorite plants. Do you all enjoy interacting with it? Do you all know Lindheimer senna? Does it grow here? It's, lamb's ears. it's like, it's soft like that. It's just, it's delightful to touch. And it puts out a really beautiful cluster of yellow flowers. Some of our upland plants that you can find. Of course, seasonally, we don't have the gay feather right now, but some of what you will see, and it's really just explosive. I have never seen bluebonnets like we have bluebonnets in the Central Texas area right now. Some more graphics that come from the book Discovering WestCave, just to kind of explain what makes this place so special. You know, geologic time, it's taken a long time for the canyon to be what it is today. And it's going to continue to change over long geologic time. But these are the kinds of things that we see going on there in the habitat that we find. This is a really crude graphic that I made just to kind of help differentiate between the conditions that we encounter in the canyon versus the uplands. So it's a sink, you know, cool air comes down into the canyon. We can be on average 10 degrees cooler down there than we are in the uplands. The wind tends to kind of blow over the top, so we have a lot of calming effect down there. In the summer, when the air is soup, kind of like has it been soupy here this last week? Yeah. So it's been pretty soupy in Austin this last week, and we really, kind of hope for some of those breezes to kind of come down and find ways to just down in between the trees. But it's a much more shaded environment, especially in the summer, so it can be very, very pleasant. And then in the winter, we've had these two really devastating ice storms in 2021 and 2023, and it took out so many of our canopies in the uplands because of the exposure that they had. And the effects, while it froze the waterfall in the grotto, the trees and everything else were relatively unaffected because it just kind of skirted over the top of the canyon. The other thing that allows the temperature variation down there is that these rocks, the canyon walls themselves, because they hold so much water, are like thermal batteries. There's a lot of thermal mass in the canyon, and water doesn't change temperature nearly as quickly as air. And so with the presence of so much water constantly leaking out, it's its own microclimate down there that's very special. We liken it to a terrarium. This is what the trail going down into the canyon looks like from the uplands. We have a pretty steep descent of stairs, so this isn't a wide, really smooth, kind of sloped trail. You have to navigate some steps. We do have some cabling for handrails, but this is, these are areas that we're trying to leave as natural as possible and not disturb. So it may not be necessarily accessible to 100% of the people that want to see it, but this is the condition. It's about 100 steps, and so going down is manageable for most people. It's the coming up you kind of have to prepare yourself for, and it's not all at once. Like there's several steps, then you get to walk a little bit, and some more steps, and then you have to walk a little bit. But yeah, you kind of you feel it by the time you walk back out, and then we have. There's just something about this route that's exposed, that's been walked on for decades, that really appeals to me. It's just very serpentine and lovely, and this is in the fall, as you can see, because it's surrounded by leaves. And every time I see it, it's one of these things, it's just beautiful. I just find it beautiful. So we call the rocks down in the grotto living rocks. We have used portions of, when you finally descend and you're at the end of the canyon and you're at the grotto and the waterfall and the pond, there's a small area that's been cleared so groups can assemble and guides can talk to them. So you can't go down to the canyon on your own. You have to be taken down by a guide. For liability purposes primarily, right? We wouldn't want, and we can't go off trail. This is a preserve. This isn't a place to recreate. So everything is trail only. We can't take anything from the preserve, but we like to share the history because it's really had such a remarkable transformation, and it's such a demonstration of how resilient nature really is. When we did, I shouldn't say we, I had no part of the cleanup that took place when the property was purchased, but bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of garbage were taken out, broken glass, and after big rain events, we still might find little pieces of, shards of glass here and there as they become exposed over time. But the place had literally been trampled to death. All of the ferns that were growing down there were climbing this is also rock climbing country. We have really good features for people to kind of grab onto, and so the rocks were being climbed and they were jumping into the pond and just trampling everything. And once the garbage was taken out and that access was forbidden, this place just, came back to life. So in this area at the bottom of the trail where groups assemble, where the guides can kind of talk about the history and point out the age of the bald cypress that are standing down there. We used to have some of these rocks sitting there that we allowed them to use kind of like benches, because some people, after just walking all that way, would like a place to sit. But after we kind of came out of lockdown during COVID, all of those rocks came back to life, right? They were just like they were flower pots. They just had all of these, like columbine was growing out of them again, maidenhair fern, all of these plants, mosses, were just covering these rocks. And so we've left them that way ever since. Again, as a demonstration that these rocks are really the substrate for the magic that we experience when we go down into the canyon. And so this is a picture of the top of those rocks. Another view. The bald cypress that you see there, it's hard to see from this picture, but there's a big kind of hole that goes through it because the waterfall, I'm going to walk over to this side, then I'll walk over to that side, but the waterfall is always kind of dripping. So it always just, the flow is very dependent on how much rain we've had, but it's always dripping. It's a natural spring. Water's under a lot of pressure here, and so it's always coming out. But when we have big rain events, it's a torrent coming over the side of this cliff, and it comes down behind this bald cypress, hits the ground, and over time, the tree has had to respond to all of that water. And so it's like this, and the water just shoots out and comes out this other side over here. So there's a little bit of a hollowing there, and so for you over here, the water will come down in a torrent over here, and it can also come down really hard here, but then it shoots out from this tree. It comes out and out of this tree, and so it's a very dramatic scene, and we're in flash flood country there, so it can happen really quickly, and it can be dangerous to be down there because the water levels can rise really fast. So some of the other conditions that we see there is just, again, the difference in the temperature, the constant presence of water. We've had a really wet spring. I'm assuming it's been a really wet and lush spring for you here too. It was last year too, and then it got hot and dry really fast. But because we have so much, I just lost my train of thought.
Water.
Because we have so much water. Oh, I'm going to have to come back to it. I totally lost my train of thought. But the conditions down here, are just different. We also allow all of our deadfall to stay in place. As a preserve, this again, just like the rocks, these are the substrate for life to emerge and break down. So we want that decomposition, we want the enrichment that comes from that, and we want it to happen in the time scale that it happens. This is how nature has always worked, and we don't have to interfere with it. So there's a lot of different conditions that we will experience when we're down in the grotto.
Kathy?
Yes?
You said it was, the water could rise pretty quickly. How deep does it get when you get a really big flash flood?
It depends on how prolonged the rains are, but there's there's evidence of that entire canyon having filled up at times. Not within our lifetime, but the Pedernales River, for example, a few decades ago, rose like 60 feet in a matter of 8 minutes, something like that. It's very eventful. It is a power unlike anything most of us ever get to witness. So it happens really fast. And of course, when the river rises that fast, there's a lot more tributaries that feed that river. So it's not as if it's being flooded because of Hines Branch Creek. Now it's happening in reverse. The river rises faster than the creek, and it backwashes up into the canyon. And so it's having to deal with the rise of the river. Right? Water's just going to flow wherever those low points are. And so, so it works in both directions. Some of the plants that we see down in the grotto. So we have chatterbox orchid, which are rather rare. Only a couple of specific places where we see them, which is true of a lot of our native orchids. Their seeds are so teeny, minuscule. Spice bush, the ferns, which are just so gorgeous and create that kind of tropical field. Turk's cap, so really special place. So just a little bit more about the work that we do at WestCave. So conservation obviously is a big thing, and a lot of that work happens behind the scenes because it's not part of the public tour. And a lot of our, it's happening before guests arrive. It's happening in the uplands where we don't have, such a head count taking place, but they're practicing proper land management techniques, habitat protection and enhancement. It's always dealing with our non-native species so that our native species can have a place to thrive is something we also have to manage, and we participate with other organizations to monitor the water quality. We had a controlled burn last summer. Controlled burns, when we're trying to deal with things like King Ranch bluestem, are most effective when they're done at the hottest, driest times of the year. They just create a hotter condition to be more effective with those grasses, which can be really difficult to combat. And so we had a big wildfire controlled burn last summer, and some of the volunteers that come out for things like that. We do the Christmas bird count. You all do that here? Anyone participate in that? Like some of the bird monitoring activities, the volunteer bird monitoring? Okay. And just some images. We do have a cave adjacent to our grotto feature. Caves are, by definition, are spaces that are in total darkness. We have portions of our cave that actually have openings where we do have daylight, but then they recede quite deep back. They're not very big, but they are in total darkness. And WestCave has a number of other caves which are not available to the public. We do a lot of research there. So here's one of these slides where I've put a QR code if anyone wants to access our website and learn more about these. This is also a digital slide deck that can be emailed to all of you, so you have this if you don't want to take a photo of it. But if you take a photo of the QR code and kind of center it up, it'll take you straight to this resource where you can look at any of these activities. Here's a few more things that we do. This is a link to our Instagram page. As you can imagine, some of the photos that get shared on our Instagram page are just beautiful. So there's a lot of fans that are there just for the nature. But we have some really great interns and other staff that try to make the content really engaging and storytelling and give you a sense of when we have special activities going on. We do star parties there. So there's all kinds of reasons to try to come. And we also have specialty hikes. And so this is just a small sampling of some of the specialty hikes that you can come, into Austin's the next time you're in that area, like make a day of it and see what's on our calendar and see if any of these things might be available. And just to kind of give you a sense of all that's around us, so Hamilton Pool Preserve, I've already mentioned. Pedernales Falls State Park isn't too far away. The Science Mill in Johnson City is fabulous. Reimer's Ranch is a big state park that's right there. The Austin Zoo is kind of my neck of the woods where I live. So yeah, that's kind of the clustering of things all around us that kind of are aligned with what WestCave is about.
So would you say Austin is the largest major city around?
To WestCave? Oh, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute drive out there.
Say again?
It's 30 minutes.
From Austin, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it's about 20 miles from Dripping Springs.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep. So one of the things that I do at WestCave, one of the things that I'm really loving right now, when I'm dressed wearing the T-shirt that I am, is WestCave not only is open as a destination for public tours and to do conservation work and have different specialty offerings, but we also do a lot of outreach in the community. And one of those programs is called Girls Outside. And so I am the director of this program, and I work with 10 schools in the Austin Independent School District, 5 elementary schools that get partnered with secondary schools, either a middle or a high school, and we take field trips all over to these natural spaces, urban parks, out in the hill country, different spaces that they may not know are there. These are all working with underserved kids, and it's a mentoring program that's nature-based.
Privately owned?
The WestCave Preserve, it is owned by LCRA, and we lease it from them for $1 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is LCRA?
The Lower Colorado River Authority.
Okay, so it's owned.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is in addition to doing community outreach, this is a program that I manage there, and these are some of the people that I work with. And if we don't look happy in that bluebonnet field, I don't know. And this is just some of some photos of what those field trips look like and just how really magical they are. There's always piggyback rides and hugs. It's the sweetest thing you've ever seen. And this is the book. Everyone has kind of a particular area of interest. The geology alone, just reading about the geological history of this place is just, it is such a great read. But the authors of this book, Chris Caron and Elaine Davenport, are still very involved as volunteers with WestCave. These are some of our legacy supporters. They have been key to us having the kind of presence in the world that we do, and there's just a million things in there about the different plants that are there, its history, the geology, a wonderful, wonderful book. The Meadows Center for Water in San Marcos right now, it is the book that they're reading. All of them are reading this, and then they're going to go and visit WestCave. And this is me. If anyone ever wants to get in touch, Kathy@westcave.org or on LinkedIn. And if anyone has any questions or comments, yeah, that's all I had to share with you visually.
You were first.
Okay, so I have a question. So obviously around Austin, there's a lot of canyon and caves. Is there more like this that are privately held?
Yes. I mean, we're by and large a privately land-owned state, right? And so, but this is still kind of a jewel among the jewels. It's a really special place, yes. Just up the Pedernales River, there's another place called Roy Creek Canyon that's surrounded now by a big new development going in. There's actually quite a bit of concern because this development, with all of the water that it wants to take from the river, really threatens the health of that unique system. But that's a much, much smaller area, much more intimate, but you know, it's highly varied. Some of our canyons are really steep and narrow, and some of our canyons are wide, and they vary in, you know, topography, right? Like just how deep they may be. a lot of special places, most of them not accessible to the public. Yes.
I would guess that the majority of it is limestone.
Yes.
And then the other question I had is, do you go in and plant natives, or do you look for small natives and encourage them and then move them? Or are they just on their own completely? For instance, after snow or ice?
Yeah, so we have a few areas around the Environmental Learning Center with gardens where there's been some planting. There's a special garden dedicated to John Arns, the first education director, whose daughter is now the conservation director. She grew up, coming to the preserve and lived, grew up in a trailer there initially. So the fact that she's there, right? This place really has legacy to be proud of. But very, very limited. We really are just wanting to let nature adapt and evolve according to the conditions that support it. And so it's the touch is very, very light. Yeah, I have to come back this way because, yeah.
Yeah, my hand's getting tired. No, I didn't hear the question on the plant, but you mentioned invasive species. I was wondering, can you give me an example of an invasive species that you had to address and eradicate, or have you actually, what species of plant have you?
Well, King Ranch bluestem is probably the biggest one that we have to deal with.
And how do you think the KR bluestem got there?
I mean, the boots that we walk on,
Wow.
it blows, and
It's all over South Texas, and I believe TxDOT are the people that seeded the side of the state roads and created the KR bluestem problem. But I don't think you're on the state highway anywhere close to it.
No, but once it kind of reaches a critical mass, it's just so easy to spread.
It goes everywhere.
Yeah, and then it just has to establish in one place to just propagate and continue to be a problem. So I'm not the expert to kind of really break all of that chronology down and where specifically it came from, but it's being transported, in all kinds of ways at this point.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's one.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Average length of time that a group would stay there, an hour, 2 hours, or what? Is there some kind of an average?
Yeah, so like a lot of places these days, it's a reservation system. The population is just so big that the only way for us to manage it and have any kind of sanity is to ask people to make reservations. So if you do want to come, just make sure that you do that, because our walks down to the grotto, they fill up, especially this time of year, right? When it's wildflower season and there's a lot of rain and we know it's going to be, there's going to be more water flowing. Same in the fall. Like there are just, in the summer, if you want to, like on that 100-degree day, you could probably find a spot. But make a reservation. The total tour time that you could probably anticipate going down to the grotto and back would be about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right.
How far ahead do you have to reserve? Do you know what booking?
They open up the reservations for 1 month at a time, so you can't book, long out into the future. They're opening up 1 month at a time, so that certain groups don't just take, there are groups out there that would do that, right? If they're like booking agencies and things like this. We just had the Smithsonian out.
Master gardeners would do that.
Yeah.
6 months in advance. That's right.
Yes, back here.
And I know that you have a trail that goes to the grotto, but do you have any trails for people who have mobility issues?
The uplands, we have a trail that goes all the way around the uplands, which the biggest loop is a mile, once you get to it, and then there's some little offshoots, and we have 2 bird blinds up there, so if you have any birders, it's a great place to just go sit and watch the birds. It's the first place that I ever saw a golden cheek warbler, was not in the canyon where they typically nest, but they were up getting water by our bird blinds. So yes, those are all accessible.
I saw your little feeders too, your feeder watch or something. Y'all have a bunch of bird feeders that you keep in one area to bring the birds in.
Yes, we have 2 areas with bird blinds where we can try to monitor what's there, but and it's sometimes a little controversial with different groups about, as a preserve, You know, but when you think about the impact that human presence has had on wildlife, the fact that we are asking forgiveness to try to support, you know, is why they're there. And I think it also has a lot to do with, you know, the people that work there. They're avid birders, and they've seen firsthand some of the declines and the issues that we have had, and so it's a heartfelt endeavor for sure. Yes.
I have 2 questions. Is there a fee or a charge for that? And then secondly, the source of water for the grotto, for the waterfalls, is that the Pernales River?
No, it's spring-fed.
Spring-fed?
It's spring-fed. So the watershed, I can try to go back in my slides. So the uplands is really, it looks dry. There's water flowing through this uplands. It's trapped in the rocks. And so in the hill country, that's one of the things about the geology that's so great, is because we have so much karst. This is the rock, that's the Swiss cheese rock that you see as the fossilized portions of it eventually erode away. Those rock formations that are, you know, in the earth have the water in there that are under pressure, and it moves and it comes out. And under pressure, it's also calcified, and when it releases and it gets exposed to the air, it creates the travertine formations that we have at the grotto feature, which is eventually, like, it falls as stalactites, but eventually it's ground formation in the top, and it comes and it just creates these, you know, stalactite column systems there. And we can walk behind the waterfall and view that. It's really amazing. And you can see the layers. The Glenrose limestone is visible on the hillsides across the road from us. It's all been eroded away where we are, and we have Hammets shale and other exposed rock layers visible in the grotto system. But this upland is kind of the basin for the water. It's all flowing into these kind of depressed areas. You know, it's all kind of gravity fed until it hits that nick point, and then it falls down and then goes into the creek. But we call that the Hines Branch watershed, and then it becomes the Pedernales watershed, which is in the Colorado River shed. So these are all nested watersheds. And you had a second question.
Is there a fee?
Oh, the fee. I should know the fee, but I work there, so I never have to pay it, and I'm not the one giving the tours. I want to say it's $25 a person. I could be wrong. 20 a person. Okay.
But if you work there, you can go there whenever you want.
And if you become a good friend, then I can take you there too. But you have to scratch my back. I'll scratch your back if you scratch my back.
But MasterCarders get a discount.
There you go. Come as a group. We would love to do a deal. Yeah, absolutely. We would love to have you. It's worth the drive. Yeah, this was, it would be, an hour and a half drive. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I see a hand back here.
Could you accommodate a small group of photographers, like a handful, and give them a tour?
Oh, absolutely. So we actually do photography hikes, and we have an individual, his name's Tom Hausler. Again, like, we have like these legacy, he is a volunteer, but he's like family of WestCave, and he has been taking the photography that populates the newsletters. If you want to subscribe and kind of read more about what's going on at WestCave, we also have a newsletter that you can subscribe to through our website. But a lot of the photographs that you'll see there were taken by Tom, and Tom leads a lot of these tours. He travels all over the world and takes photography. Some of his photos are actually featured in our Environmental Learning Center. So yes, absolutely. And if you want to inquire, if you don't see anything in the calendar and you want to make a request, for one to be scheduled because you have a large group, that's something else, that you could propose. I saw another hand. Yes.
I have a question, Kathy, about pollinators. Are there wild bee hives in the area? I mean, with the caves and the canyon lands, I would think that there would be maybe some wild beehives, or in the trees even.
Yeah, not that I personally am aware of. I know where I live, I have been hyper aware of the decline in insects. Wasp species in particular are the one that are most noticeable because they would always build their nests in the eaves, and I don't see them at all anymore. But I think that's so location specific. But so I don't have them on my property. I know other people still see them, but I'm also paying attention, and I don't know how many other people are actually paying attention. I just want to say I don't know because bees there haven't been conversations that I've been around to know. But it's a great question, and I'm going to have to ask.
We talked a lot about it last year when it was so dry.
Yeah.
The lack of pollinators or the fewer honeybees people are seeing, fewer bumblebees.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, you know, and the wasps, right? They're not plentiful like they have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Come wild.
Come here.
Where I live,
Speak for yourself.
I'm sorry?
Where I live, there's been a definite decline of yellow paper wasps.
Yes.
And they've kind of been replaced by a non-aggressive red wasp.
Oh, you have non-aggressive red wasps.
You're saying not aggressive?
Non-aggressive.
Ah.
The paper wasp, the yellow paper wasp, are quite aggressive. That's what we typically refer to as yellow jackets. But yellow jackets are actually a smaller wasp that lives in the ground. But this red wasp that's kind of taken the place of what we used to call yellow jackets it's a non-aggressive wasp.
What's the big red wasp that's super aggressive and stings like hell?
Well, there's tarantula hawks. Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone have any other questions?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I hope we get to see you out there. Okay. This part.
And before I forget, I'll ask you to remind you guys of the aquaponics and hydroponics class is on April 30th. Beth is going to be teaching that. It's from 9 to 1. If you're interested in going to it, you need to tell Paul ahead of time so they make sure to have everything for you. Okay? Sounds like an awesome class I want to go to. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, Denise is going to come up and do our prizes.
Is Lisa Foss here? Okay, I have this for you. So just so you know.
Yes. Denise, you need to
Joyce Mark.